One week in Poland. News, comments, events, everything you need to know about the country you live in. Hello everybody. Welcome to a new episode of One Week in Poland, the information service made in IMI Radio, which brings you through the most important news of the last 7 days. My name is Fabio Turco. I am an Italian journalist living and working in Warsaw. And for the people who listen this broadcast for the first time, I would like to say a couple of words about the format. The first part of the show is dedicated to the general news, what's happened in Poland in the last 7 days. I do it through an accurate selection from the main media outlets, for example, Polish press agency or notes from Poland or Polish radio. In the second part of the show, I will be more focused about what happened in Warsaw, the capital city. I will give you some advices what you can do during the weekend to enjoy the life here. So if you are ready, I'm sure you are ready. We can start with the first news. For sure, you remember that in the past week we spoke a lot about the flood which affected the southwestern Poland and the victims and the damage that it provoked. So now it's the time of the decision for the politics, how to face this big problem. And the last week, Poland's Sejm, the lower house of the parliament, has passed an amendment to the flood relief law, which provides support for affected borrowers and entrepreneurs. The new regulation includes assistance in covering mortgage payments for 12 months through the Borrower Support Fund flood victims. Flood victims will also receive non-refundable financial aid for housing purposes from the subsidy fund. A one-time allowance of 1,000 Polish zloty is also provided for the educational needs of children affected by the flood, along with an additional care allowance for parents who need to stay home due to the closure of childcare facilities. The law allows for the suspension of court and administrative proceedings, as well as halting deadlines in flood-related cases. Entrepreneurs will receive financial support, including 16,000 Polish zloty per employee, or 75% of the average revenue from the previous year. The support cap for business owners is set at 1 million Polish zloty, with 1 billion Polish zloty allocated for assistance. Families affected by the flood will receive up to 1,000 Polish zloty to cover the cost of drying their homes, with 25 million Polish zloty allocated from the state budget for this purpose. Employees will be entitled to up to 20 days on additional paid leave for flood recovery, and employers will be able to claim reimbursement for wages. After the approval from the Senate, the law was signed also by the President of Republic, Andrzej Duda, so now the law is in charge. Another news related to politics. European Commission sues Poland for lack of tax on international companies. This is a new from this week. The lawsuit is related to the failure to implement the second pillar of the global tax reform, we read on Polish radio. The European Commission has sued 4 countries for not having a minimum tax on foreign companies and capital groups. In addition to Poland, Spain, Portugal, and Cyprus face similar issues. All European Union countries were required to introduce a global minimum tax by the end of 2023. This regulation, supported by 140 countries worldwide, aims to reform the taxation of high-income companies that have historically paid very low taxes globally. The European Union Council directive from December 2022 established a 15% minimum corporate income tax. It will apply to large capital groups operating in the European Union with revenues of at least 750 million euro. According to the new rules, giant companies must pay a minimum tax of 15% on this amount. The transposition of the directive is crucial for effectively implementing the minimum taxation component of the G20 reform on international taxation, which aims to limit the competitive lowering of corporate tax rates. Brussels has stated that the 4 countries, including Poland, should fail to inform it about the implementation of the new regulations, prompting the lawsuit at the Court of Justice of the European Union, while nearly all the other European member states have complied with this requirement. On September 25, the Polish government submitted a bill regarding this matter to the Sejm. On the same day, the document was sent for its first reading during a parliamentary session. Authorities from Central Bureau of Investigation in Poland, the CBSP, dismantled a methamphetamine lab operating in a backyard garden in Podlasie, eastern Poland. The 120 liters of liquid methamphetamine sized were valued at 7 million Polish zloty. 4 Mexican nationals were arrested on site during the operation. CBSP has determined that they are part of an organized crime group involved in producing and distributing the significant amount of drugs within Poland. The authorities confiscated nearly 120 liters of meth, along with equipment and large quantities of chemical necessary for its production. The seized substances and equipment were sent for laboratory analysis, with the total black market value of the drugs exceeding 7 million Polish zloty. The detained were transported to the district prosecutor's office in Bielski Podlaski, where they were charged with leading and participating in an organized crime group, as well as producing a large quantity of drugs. Upon the prosecutor's request, the district court in Bielski Podlaski, located in northeastern Poland, imposed a 3-month temporary detention on all 4 suspects. So this news, if you ever watched Breaking Bad, you can recall something. And now we go to the next news. Poland's foreign ministry has casually welcomed an announcement that Ukraine plans to search for the remains of victims of the Volhynia massacres, in which Ukrainian nationalists killed around 100,000 ethnic Poles during World War II. The issue has been a major source of tension between the 2 allies, Poland and Ukraine, of course. This is good news and a step in the right direction, Polish Foreign Ministry spokesman Paweł Wronski told the Polish press agency. But Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski has repeatedly emphasized in talks with Ukrainian partners that we expect not plans but decisions. On Tuesday, the Ukrainian Institute of National Memory announced that it plans to search for victims of the Volhynia tragedy in response to requests from Polish citizens regarding the possibility of searching for and exhuming the remains of their family members. It added that, in particular, it plans to undertake such searches in 2025 in the Rivne region of western Ukraine in response to requests from 1 Polish citizen. When we receive the necessary clarifications from Polish citizens regarding the location of potential search sites, we will try to help them despite the war and difficult economic situation, said UINM's president Anton Drobowicz. He added that the Polish authorities would be granted observer status during the search. However, the organization's statement also included criticism of Poland. It noted that Ukraine's culture ministry has chosen the Ukrainian member of a Ukrainian-Polish working group on national memory agreed on by the two countries' prime ministers at the start of this year. But no information regarding the formation of the Polish part of the working group has been received, wrote the UENM. It also said that Poland was refusing requests from Ukraine to restore a memorial at a burial site of soldiers from the Ukrainian insurgent army on its territory. This leaves open the question of the readiness of the Polish side for parity and equal relations with Ukraine in the field of historical memory, wrote the UINM. The Ukrainian Insurgent Army was a paramilitary organization that fought for Ukrainian independence during the war, but was also responsible for the Volhynia massacres. Poland regards the massacres as a genocide, but Ukraine rejects the description and still honors many figures of the Ukrainian Insurgent Army. So we go to the next news. This is quite important, and in this part of the show, we usually go to the part dedicated to the culture. This is actually a cultural, but also political news. It recalled something happened the last year. The district court in Warsaw has scheduled the first hearing against the President of Republic, Andrzej Duda, for October 24th, 2025, so next year, right after the presidential elections, The case stems from derogatory remarks he made about viewers of the critically acclaimed film Green Border, in Polish Zielona Granica, directed by Agnieszka Holland. The Polish Center for Monitoring Xenophobic and Racist Behavior has filed a lawsuit against President Duda over his comments regarding the latest work of the world-renowned director Agnieszka Holland. Her latest film addressed the situation at the Polish-Belarusian border and the issues related to the presence of migrants in that region of Europe. Last year, before the parliamentary election, during an interview with Polish television, Andrzej Duda, discussing this movie, stated, "I'm not surprised that border guard officers who watched this film used the phrase, 'only pigs sit in the cinema', which we know from the time of Nazi occupation when propaganda films were shown in our theaters. For calling Polish citizens pigs and intentionally using a term widely regarded as offensive, President Duda will have to defend himself in court. The trial will be conducted remotely and available for online viewers to follow live." According to the Center for Monitoring Xenophobic and Racist Behavior, this statement was an insult to the Polish people. "We did it and shoot Andrzej Duda for calling Poles pigs. Now we face what will undoubtedly be a difficult trial, but it's worth it. We want Andrzej Duda to go down in history as the first president to be taken to court by the Polish people. Representatives of the institution that filed the lawsuit stated via social media." During an interview with Marcin Wrona from TVN24, President Duda argued that his statement, which sparked a widespread indignation, was merely a quote taken from a representative of the Polish border guard. And now we approach to the last news of the first part of 1 Week in Poland. As usual, this is a news about sport. World number one women's tennis player Iga Świątek has ended her 3-year-long cooperation with coach Tomasz Wiktorowski, she announced on social media. As Wiktorowski protégé, the 23-year-old Pole claimed 4 Grand Slam single titles in New York, won the French Open tournament at Roland Garros 3 times, and triumphed as the champion of the US Open in New York in 2022. "After 3 years of the greatest achievement in my career, together with my coach Tomasz Wiktorowski, we have decided to part ways," Świątek wrote on Instagram on Friday. Due to this important change on my team. I gave myself a couple of weeks to start a cooperation with a new coach. I am in the middle of first talks with the coaches from abroad because I'm ready to take the next step in my career. I will let you know when I make a decision, she added. Later in the day, the organizers of the WTA 1000 tournament in Wuhan, in China, which starts on October 7, announced on the X platform Świątek would not play in Wuhan this year due to taking time off to make changes to her team. So this is an important news related to this Polish champion. Of course, we hope that also with the new trainer, whoever it will be, Świątek will accomplish other and many others successes. So this was the last news of the first part of 1 Week in Poland. This was the part related to the general news. Now we have a small musical break, couple of minutes, and then we come back with the news and the advices related to Warsaw. Stay with us, stay with IMI Radio.
Varsavia piove forte, lampi e tuoni che spaccano il cielo, per più nero del velo che copre la morte. A Varsavia hanno chiuso le porte, dentro casa qualcuno sta piangendo, qualcun altro vorrebbe far l'amore. Come posso tesoro tenerti sul cuore, se stanotte a Varsavia si muore? Come posso tesoro tenerti sul cuore, se stanotte a Varsavia si muore? Hanno ucciso un ragazzo di 20 anni, l'hanno ucciso per rabbia o per paura, perché aveva negli occhi quell'aria sincera, perché era una forza futura. Sulla piazza ho visto tanti fiori, calpestati e dispersi con furore, da chi usa la legge si serve del bastone e sugli altri ha pretese di padrone. Da chi usa la legge si serve del bastone e sugli altri ha pretese di padrone. Sull'altare c'è una Madonna nera, ma è la mano del minatore bianco che ha firmato cambiali alla fede di un mondo sulla pelle di un popolo già stanco. Stanco marcio di chiese e di profeti, da una parte e dall'altra tutti uguali, perché a stare in trincea sono gli uomini normali, non i capi di Stato e i generali. Perché a stare in trincea sono gli uomini normali, non i vescovi e neanche i cardinali. Ci han traditi e lo han fatto molte volte, con cinismo e determinazione. Han portato fratelli e compagni in prigione e hanno messo un guinzaglio all'illusione. Non esiste un popolo padrone, non esiste ancora un popolo vincente, ma soltanto una massa di povera gente da umiliare e da rendere impotente. Ma soltanto una massa di povera gente da piegare e da rendere ubbidiente. Per tutti oggi è un giorno brutto, troppe code di paglia stanno bruciando, troppa rabbia per chi vive ancora sperando in un mondo che vedi sta cambiando. È una notte a Varsavia piove forte, una pioggia che scende sul dolore. Come posso tesoro tenerti sul cuore se stanotte a Varsavia si muore? Come posso tesoro tenerti sul cuore se stanotte a Varsavia si muore?
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the second part of One Week in Poland. The song you just listened was Varsavia, Warsaw by Pierangelo Bertoli. This is an Italian song dedicated to the capital city of Poland, in particular to a specific episode, to a specific time of history of Poland, the martial law in 1981. So now we go to the part dedicated to the capital city, as I said, and I would like to start with a couple of news, actually a couple of events that we'll have in the next days, in the next week. The first one is the Ukraine Film Festival in Warsaw, which start in Warsaw October 21st until October 27. It will be open by the movie Grey Bees by Dmytro Moiseev. The event, the Ukrainian Cinema Film Festival, is a celebration of cinema from beyond Poland's eastern border, and it will be held not only in Warsaw but also in other cities for the next month. So we can say that in Warsaw the event will be held for the next week, but in Poland it will be continued also for in the next months until December. So if you are listening out of Warsaw, you can look for news about the Ukrainian Cinema Festival. A couple of words about Grey Bees. Grey Bees won an award at the International Festival in Odessa and tells the story of the two former childhood enemies turned pensioners living in a small isolated village in Donbass, where the looming threat of a Russian sniper forces them to confront the stark choices of adaptation or resistance amidst the turmoil following the 2014 invasion. During this unique event in Poland, fully dedicated to Ukrainian cinema, approximately 60 films will be screened, including documentaries, feature films, short films, and animation, as well as titles that have won awards at the international festival. This is already the 9th edition of the festival. In addition, as I said, to selected cinemas in Warsaw and Andrzej Wajda Film Culture Center, some films will also be available online and in cities such as Kraków, Gdynia, Toruń, Łódź, Lublin, Płock, Poznań, Szczecin, and Wrocław. Another event that you can attend in the next months is the largest Lego building exhibition in Europe, which is being held at the PGE National Stadium in Warsaw, Stadium Narodowe, featuring remarkable displays, including a life-size model of a rally car created by the legendary Polish driver Sobiesław Zasada. In Danish, the word Lego means to play well, and since the creation of the first wooden toys by the Danish carpenter Ole Kirk Christiansen in 1932, this name has become one of the most recognizable brands in the world and synonym for excellent toys that appeal to both children and older fans on construction that allows them to unleash their imagination. For Polish fans of Lego, there is a special treat awaiting them at the National Stadium. Enthusiasts of unconventional structures will be able to see life-size replica of the rally car belonging to Sobiesław Zasada. The construction made from 500,000 Lego bricks, 500,000, let's imagine, was created over the past few months by a team of 20 people. Among the 130 models and thousands of creations built from nearly 10 million bricks, visitors can admire both well-known characters from cartoons and movies, as well as replicas of buildings and structures from around the world, explained the exhibition creator Rafał Szymanski. The exhibition started at the end of September and will be available to visitors for the next 6 months until March 2nd, 2025. Now we go to the part dedicated to the music. The first event I want to suggest is a concert by Pat Metheny. It will be held today at Palladium Club in Ulica Złota, number 9, starting at 9 p.m. This is an event presented by Marcin Kedryński for the series of event called Siesta. So Pat Metheny is a guitar virtuoso, composer, winner of 20 Grammy Awards, and this is one of the most famous personalities of jazz, appreciated and adored by hundreds of thousands of fans, not only of this genre of music. He's created his own immediately recognizable style with a characteristic sound and color. He's author of 53 albums, probably the only jazzman with popularity equal to pop music idols and the undisputed star of the most important festival around the world. The concert tour promoting the new album Dream Box will be the first of its kind, a personal relationship between Metheny and the audience. During the concert, the artist will present songs that were created over 50 years of his musical career. This will be Pat Metheny's one-of-a-kind tour, intimate and like his latest album, exploring his whole musical notes and focusing on the uniqueness of solo guitar playing. As I said, this is a part of Siesta, a series of events presented by Marcin Kedryński. Marcin Kedryński, for 30 years, co-created the image of Radio Trójka, the third broadcast of Polish radio, and this broadcast called Siesta was chosen as one of the most popular in the history of the station. Since June 2020, he has been hosting his own show, Pora Sieste, Season of Siesta, on Radio Nowy Świat, thus gathering a huge crowd on fans. So if you are interested in jazz, if you love jazz, but if you are lover of good music, I suggest you to go to Club Palladium today in Ulica Złota, starting at 9 p.m. to listen the concert of Pat Metheny. And the next event I want to suggest is always set for today at Club Niebo. This is behind our radio station in Ulica Nowy Świat 21, starting at 7 p.m. for the Naturalna Generacja Tour 2024, the concert of Górald per Paprojad. This is a collaboration by two artists. Góral is Mateusz Górny. For 20 years, he successfully combined club and electronic music with Islander culture. He played over 1,200 live shows in 20 countries at many large European festivals, such as Poland Rock, Open Air, Orange Warsaw, Siget, Exit, Kolosov, Ostrava, and Audio River. In the softly enveloping listener with juicy organic forest sound, groovy electronic down-tempo land of Góral, Paprojad, he's the second, now I got to introduce, appears with mantra raps affirming harmony, spiritual development, love for people and nature. Project is Wodek Dębowski, is known from performances in bands such as Wonky One, Jedi Kazimierskie, November Project, and various others after surprising collaboration. On stage for 20 years, with his lyrics, he fulfilled the shaman's mission in an increasingly new project. He conveys content that deeply touches the spirit, painting a vision of a new world. So, from the commission of these two artists, we have something very specific, something that I suggest to you. This was the last advice for this week, for this episode of 1 Week in Poland. The song through I will say goodbye is a song of Góral Perpa Project, Całe ten świat, this whole world. So you can listen, you can decide if go to listen the concert tonight. I want to say thank you for staying with us for this half an hour. Thank you to Michał for the technical assistance. Stay with us, stay with IMI Radio, because we have still a long afternoon, this Saturday afternoon ahead at 2 p.m. Natalie Che, shooting backstage. Stay with us. Thank you, everybody. See you in 7 days. Bye-bye.